Hello, this is Abby.
Dear Abby, this is gonna be a long one.
Oh boy.
Dear Abby, how do you tell the difference between a new exciting crush and a rebound?
Does it matter?
Dear Abby.
Dear Abby.
Dear Abby.
Welcome to our little corner of the internet. This is the Dear Abby podcast. I hope you stay and hang out with us. See you in a sec. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Dear Abby. I'm your host. My name is Abby. This is so weird because I'm recording currently on a different camera than normal, but I think I'm going to revert back to my old camera. Maybe different setup a little bit, but so my husband has a really nice, it's like FX, I don't know. He has a really nice camera. And I use it for my podcast, which I think is good. Like, it elevates the quality of the camera, which like maybe people think that elevates the podcast and maybe it's like a mental thing. But I don't love it, honestly. And I like bad quality stuff. But hear me out. Not bad quality what people are saying. Well, sometimes, but I don't like low effort, okay? But I don't mind bad quality. To me, it's different. I kind of like the chaos of not having everything totally set up. And I enjoy life that way. And you might not believe me. You might think I'm lazy. But you guys, I have been setting up a camera and these dumb, annoying lights that are so hard to put up every single time I record. And I don't love the vibe sometimes. And sometimes I love it. And it's not like I don't like it. I like it, obviously. But it's not a laziness aspect. I just like a makeshift DIY vibe more sometimes. And I like effort. I don't know if this makes sense, but I feel like those who get it. And those that don't, they don't. And that's fine. And we can just see differently on that. But anyways, my husband's also out of town. And so I'm recording this by myself and I don't even have access to his camera, which is why I'm recording this way. Anyways, but basically the video will just look a little bit different. And I needed a change. Sometimes I just need a change with the podcast. And so this is it. Very exciting. Sometimes you just need a change. You need worse quality and different location. And now I feel better. Sometimes I miss how it was at the beginning when it was just more low key. And I feel less anxious about what I say when it feels more in like my own space and my own type of environment, which is a little bit less perfectly set up, I guess. I don't know if it makes sense, okay, but that's how I am, okay, that's what it is. However, I do remember my camera used to shut off all the time, so I'm really hoping that it's not going to do that this time around, but we'll see how this goes. I'm hoping that I have figured that part out where my camera will last the whole podcast. But yeah, welcome back to my podcast. I hope everybody is having a great week. I am having a great week. Thank you so much for asking. I'm actually really tired. I have just been chronically tired the past couple of days. I'm not totally sure what is happening to me, but I'm just really tired. I don't think I'm pulling nutrients from I don't think my digestive system is working and it's not pulling nutrients, which is the point of what is happening there. So I feel inflamed and not great. But I will go see a nutritionist. That is on my number one list of things to do, is see a nutritionist, like actually take that seriously, because when you are somebody that's struggled a lot with their mental health, it's so connected to your body. And sometimes when you live in your head so much, you forget about your body completely. Like, you forget that you have all of these feelings and you have all of this heaviness sometimes that you feel in your body and certain parts. And you forget that you need to work on those too and take care of that as well. And that'll help your mental and just your overall well-being. Like, it's all very connected. So let's do some dubs and L's. And then we will talk about the meat of today's episode, which is recognizing the time wasted on your rumination patterns or just your mental illness in general. And wasted as in, I don't want that to come off in like a super, you've wasted so much time. But honestly, if you think about what if OCD just wasn't a factor? What if these things that you thought you had to think about, you don't have to? What if, like, with your depression, like, what if it just went away somehow? And sometimes doing like a meditative or just a mindfulness practice with that can be super helpful to then think about what you would want to do and kind of live and start to just reconnect, I think, with yourself past your mental illness and your struggles. Because then you actually find out who you are again. You're reminded, you're kind of brought back to life, and you can feel a rejuvenated sense of just love and compassion and understanding for yourself and your situation. And it's just in a more connected way. So, okay. So that's what we're going to talk about. And then we're going to do a Dear Abby. And then that'll be today's episode. A couple life updates. I already talked about my health physically. That update, not doing great. Still have the bacteria overgrowth. And it is not very fun. I feel chronically tired, and I want to help my body. Like I said, my husband is out of town, so he went on a camping trip with some climbing buddies. So they're all just doing their climbing thing wherever they are. Well, bouldering, I guess, is the correct phrase, where you just go climb on rocks, literally, is what they're doing. Didn't interest me. I also have work, so I could not go, but that's where he is. And at first I'm like, oh, this will be fun. Like, I can just have the place to myself and I can play whatever music I want, and I don't have to worry about being, I don't know, clean, because my husband's more clean than I am. And then the first 24 hours is like super awesome. I'm like, this is nice. I don't have to worry about inconveniencing anybody. I don't have to worry about my song choices or anything, like, or what I want to watch. It can just be whatever I want. And it's nice for a little bit. And then I hit the point where I'm just bored. And then about the second or third day when I come home from work, and it's just me again, and it's just the same. There's nothing, no one talking to me, no one to greet me at home. I'm like, yeah, I miss my husband, and I wish he was back. So we're a couple days into it, and I miss him, but he comes back soon. So I just have to toughen it out until he gets back. So that's kind of my L. But my dub is I've perfected my Ninja creamy recipes for my protein ice cream. The chocolate one is so freaking good. I get Jocko, well, not I get, my husband orders Jocko Willink. Jocko Willink. I don't know. Actually, you know what? I've listened to his podcast a bunch with my husband, and I literally I don't know what his last name is. I don't know if there's an N somewhere or if it's just Willick or Willink. Jocko Willink. He has protein powder, and I think it's like the yummiest protein powder. I eat one like almost every day, or every other day at least. I freeze it with milk, the chocolate protein powder. I put a little bit of this colostrum chocolate stuff. It's called Cowboy Colostrum. I got it at an event that I went to, and they really just invited me because they liked my sister, and my sister has more clout than I do. So they invited her, and I lived vicariously through her, and they felt bad probably. So they gave me also a little goodie bag, but I got some colostrum, and it's like chocolate. It's actually really yummy. Like, the chocolate taste is really good. And so I put that in there as well. Mix it all up. I freeze it. I take it out. I put it in the Ninja Creamy. If you don't know what it is, it's like a machine that can make ice cream, basically, just from a frozen block of frozen stuff. I put it in the Ninja Creamy. I made a little hole in the middle of it. I pour in some heavy cream. I normally put in heavy cream just because I like the texture more. But if I don't, I put in milk, and it tastes pretty good, and it tastes really good still. The cream just is more creamy, and it has more flavor. I'm going crazy. I spin it once, okay? Then I pour the milk in the middle and a little bit, and I drizzle it a little bit on the sides too. And then I respin it. So it's either a respin or I mix in, and it mixes it in to where it's like the perfect ice cream texture. And it actually is like so freaking good. And I'm excited to eat it every time because it tastes like chocolate ice cream, but it's healthy, pretty healthy. I also tried to make a key lime ice cream, not healthy, just pure sugar, lime, sugary stuff. So I haven't tried it yet, but I'm excited to try that. And that's just always fun. It's just a little fun, yummy, sweet thing I can keep trying to think of and work on different recipes that we can make. Some recent crafty stuff I've been doing. I've been still learning how to sew. I made a banner for my sister's son's first birthday, my nephew's birthday. I don't know why I made that sound more complicated. My nephew's birthday, I made a couple banners, and I learned how to sew. I bought a sewing machine for it, basically, but I've always wanted to own a sewing machine and learn how, so it was a perfect excuse. But I've been wanting to make like little gifts for people and start to really utilize the sewing machine. And I'm so excited to get better at that because I've always wanted to be a mom that can fix things or sew like a cute costume or just like make a shirt for somebody or make cute baby pants. And so I'm excited to get started on that. I have a couple of really cute ideas for kids' clothes, like kids' pants, and for my nephews and my nieces. So I'm just excited to like get better at that stuff. Yeah, I just feel like I have a renewed energy and a new understanding and I guess reminder of what I really enjoy doing. Sometimes with my job, I can get lost in like the corporate mindset and feel like I'm never enough or never good enough or something. I'm never going to hit this mark. But with crafts and art and anything that's just expressive and I just get to create, I feel so free and it feels like I can breathe again and I feel like myself. And so I'm trying to kind of work my way into that world more and actually get good at something to where I can make money from something. I also am doing a Dungeons and Dragons one shot. Like I'm gonna be the game master or the dungeon master, whatever you want to call it. I think it's done. We're playing Dungeons and Dragons, so I think it's a dungeon master. But I'm going to be DMing for the first time, and I'm really nervous, but like really excited. And I wanted to do one on my birthday because then I'm like, okay, well, everyone has to be like nice to me, and they can't make fun of me if I like suck at accents and suck at being a DM. But I'm really excited to do it for my birthday. I've been planning just a one shot, and which, for those that have never played Dungeons and Dragons, it's basically a role-playing game with a little bit of like dice rolling. So it's actually a game, but the Dungeon Master is who creates the storyline or at least helps explain the storyline. Usually you use other people's stories that they've already created, that they've created this whole world and, you know, they've closed all the plot lines so that you don't have to worry about creating like a whole story from scratch. But as a DM, you role play and you're kind of the support characters, like all of the support characters, and you just help the game keep moving along and you set the scene and you get to create really awesome storylines. You get to pick cool music, cool background, video, and like I'm just really excited for that aspect. I've just been nerding out about it and I'm really excited. I wish that I had enough gear where I could record the session, and I'm also mortified for people to see that side of me because I don't know how I am. I might hate it and I might suck at being a DM and role playing and accents and being like whatever. I mean, I did a year and a half long campaign with my cousins and my brothers, but I didn't DM. I just was a player and I loved it. But I've always wanted to try being the DM. So we'll see how that freaking goes. But I'm having a ball. I'm having a ball creating that game and just a one shot. Anyways, that is a blast. And I've had so much fun creating I get so into character creation. I think my last campaign that I did, it was my first ever Dungeons and Dragons campaign and I fell in love with my character. But it's just fun to put yourself in their shoes and to be like, what would I do in this situation if I was this person? And I'm not a good actor, but actually I shouldn't say that. Maybe I am a good actor. I don't know. I've never acted before, but playing Dungeons and Dragons is similar, I think. And when I get out of my head and just into the world, it's just, I have a blast and it's fun. You get to like joke around and I love playing with my siblings and we're going to invite and some of my siblings will be playing, Keaton will be playing, and I'm inviting JC and Leif too. So if they can come, that'd be awesome. Yeah. So that's been going on in my life. And that kind of, and I wanted to segue a little bit into the main part of today's episode, which is remembering what you really like to do and who you really are outside of OCD, outside of your depression, outside of whatever it is that is like a struggle for you. and whatever makes you have to, and whatever kind of makes you distance yourself from what you like to do or who you really are. I feel like rejuvenated because I'm coming into myself again. I think I'm like having to reinvent myself again. I wanted to have my mom on soon to talk about, because I was saying it's so weird that in life you have to like, there's so many stages, there's so many different parts of life, and there's also so many different chapters where everything feels different. Like you think you learn something and then it changes on you, and then you have to relearn and you have to reinvent yourself. And so right now I feel like I'm having to reinvent myself as somebody who has gone through OCD recovery, who is a lot better from that, but kind of lost herself in the recovery and before and a little bit after. And like, I'm still recovering always, but I don't know. I just am different. Like I just feel different now. And so I'm like coming back into myself, and that it usually turns into some type of craft or something like just creative that I can do to express, and I feel so much more like myself. And when I let myself be myself without having to fix everything or be a perfect OCD student or anything like that, and when I'm reminded of who I really am and what I really care about, and that that's enough and that's okay, and OCD can't take that away from me, I won't let it, then I feel like I'm alive again. And I was recently talking to somebody about how with OCD and with mental struggles, you're just so stuck in your head. You're just in this place in your mind, and you feel like you want to get out so bad, but you don't even know what to do once you get out, and you don't know how to get out. And so it's really painful because you don't feel like you're living your life. You feel like you're watching your life happen before you. And it doesn't feel fair, and it feels soul sucking and draining and exhausting, and it's not fun, and it's not like the best way to live your life. And so what I am like trying to do more is, when my self-improvement has taken the step into obsessing, then I let myself just be imperfect. Maybe I'm doing compulsions, and maybe that's just like how it's going to be right now. And I say that because normally I'm actually really not doing a lot of OCD, like compulsive behaviors, because I've really worked on those to bring those way down. But my obsession with what does my perfected self look like, and what is this going to look like if I have no more thoughts like this, then that's like something that does keep me stuck in my mind and in that world. And so I think every single week, if not every day, but sometimes every day can be a lot. So especially starting out, wanting to remind yourself of what you like to do outside of OCD and trying to find that part of yourself again. And even if it's not like you don't feel like yourself at all, but it's just like maybe there's more to discover, and maybe there's more things that you can, maybe there's just more joy to be had, and maybe there's more love to be felt and given and stuff. And so, and I literally think that there's like an infinite amount of that to give and to learn. And so it's a really cool thing to be able to just constantly improve, constantly open up more. So something that I believe is helpful is almost like a meditative practice to connect back to yourself. And this is a very common practice. Like meditation is we've all heard about it at this point. It's been something that's practiced since forever, basically. And it's something that's talked about in all religions, and even in the Bible, it talks about pondering and prayer and pondering. And that's like, for me, it's very similar to meditation. It's just like a moment of silence. And maybe we have heard about it a lot, and maybe we used to do it, but maybe we don't do as much like silent pondering and meditation anymore because it's uncomfortable or it's just boring at first. But I think that is like the key to eventual peace, is to sit in silence and to meditate, especially when we're having racing thoughts. And when you have like that monkey brain that's like, you can't sit in silence. Like you could do this, you could make this money, you could go do this. Look how many options you can, there's so many things. Don't just sit there. You can't just sit there and do nothing. It can be hard to meditate because of that loud monkey brain that's like constantly telling you to move and do more, 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 more. But really, we just need life to be more simple and for us to slow down sometimes. With mental illness, sometimes we get so stuck in our heads, and maybe we get so stuck in these compulsion things that we don't really want to have to do, but we feel like we have to do them. And after doing that for weeks, months, years sometimes, we feel like we lose ourselves. Like we lose, like, what are we doing here? Like, what is the point of what I'm doing? Why am I doing this? Sometimes it becomes mindless almost, which sounds counter to what I was saying because it's all in your mind, but it's like almost a zombie of like doing the same things over and over again and being like, one day you're like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Why am I still thinking about this? It's been like 4 years and I'm still stuck on the same thought. Like, I don't want to do that anymore. So there's a couple things that have helped me with reconnecting with what I actually am and what I want to be and do outside of OCD and the noise of all of that. One of the main things, like I said, is meditation. But during a meditation, I like to kind of bring up what thoughts keep happening and what are these obsessions that I keep having? What are these loops that I keep having? And being really honest with myself about, has this helped you enjoy your life at all? Has this helped you get to where you want to go at all? Has this helped expand your heart, your mind, your soul? If the answer is no, then at least I know the answer is no. And it's not going to like stop everything, and it's not going to stop the temptations of like doing compulsions and the anxiety and the obsession. But I think that helps me stay motivated. And then another type of meditative exercise I do in my head, laying on my bed, closing my eyes or keeping my eyes open sometimes, and imagining, okay, if OCD went away, if what I could guess, because sometimes OCD might make you second guess what is OCD. So it might be like, well, this is just your life, you know, but it's like, no, it's actually not just my life. That's not even real. That's not happening. If I close my eyes and I think about if I were finally given permission somehow, if somehow this OCD monster went away, if somehow like you got full permission from your OCD to not worry about this anymore, whatever it is, all of it, what would you want to do? What would your life look like? What would you spend your time doing? Who would you spend your time with? What would you spend your time doing with that person? Would you want to switch careers? Would you have more courage in changing career paths? Would you have more courage in changing a faith, like, or searching out God or searching out, you know, a different faith or something? What would you actually want to start dedicating your life to? How do you picture your life feeling? And after doing that for a little bit, you're bound to get some type of an answer. You're bound to get some type of feeling that gets stirred up, that's kind of brought up. And sometimes you can feel really sad because maybe you feel like you're not doing anything that you want to do. I've definitely felt that before, lots of times where I'm like, I'm spending all my time on things I don't even really care about. Like, why am I spending all this time in my head? Why am I spending all this time worrying about what if I'm this monster versus like, I know who I am and I don't need to worry about that. And so I'm not being present with the people that I love, or I'm not trying to make more connections and deepen my connections and deepen my relationship with God and whatever is important to you. That like simple meditative practice and just that mindfulness practice, and doing that like once a week, maybe starting, and then maybe a couple times a week, or maybe just once a month, like, or maybe just once, just try it once and just see what comes up, see what happens, and then take action from that. If you feel like, if you want to do the career change, and I'm focused on that because that's something that I'm like trying to work up the courage to do, then trust that. Then trust your soul, trust like your heart. And sometimes it's hard because OCD immediately, or like just your analytical brain will jump in and be like, well, technically, blah, blah, blah. It might crush your dreams immediately. And it might make your heart feel sad for a second and be like, oh, you know, my dreams are too much or something. But I don't think we ever have to listen to that voice as if like that voice knows more than like our souls. I think our souls are wiser than our brains. Our brains are pretty fearful. Our souls are courageous and powerful, and they don't fear as much as like our mind does. So I don't really want something so fearful deciding everything for me, because that's why when you do listen to that over and over and over again, then you realize I am like living quite literally in fear of everything. So anyways, those are my little tips and tricks on how to maybe reconnect with things that you enjoy doing. Like a really simple, easy, step-by-step way to kind of talk to yourself and start to figure out what you enjoy and maybe what mental health and your mental illness is trying to steal away from you. So that's all I have on that. I hope that's helpful. Sometimes when we do recognize what we've spent a lot of time doing and compulsive wise and just like a lot of wasted energy, it can be very heartbreaking. And it's almost like a form. I've heard it on OCD stories. There was someone talking about this specifically, of when you realize how much time you've wasted and how you've been wasting it on something that never really existed. Like that fear that you're scared of, it feels like it's going to happen and you feel like you're preventing it, but it's really not, it's not happening. You're just kind of spending time on something that's a fear and it's not actually even real most of the time. So that's can be a form of grief when you realize what's been happening. I definitely experienced a lot of grief. It was like really big feelings of grief and regret and confusion with like my life, having so much of it been controlled by OCD. But then also it came with like the opposite feeling of like just hope and excitement for the future. Like I don't have to be in this dungeon and this dingy, smelly, rigid, black and white dungeon. I can actually enjoy and live my life how my soul was made to live. And that's very freeing. So anyways, that's my 2 cents on that. I hope any of that made sense as normal. But now we will do a Dear Abby and we will end today's episode. And I'm excited because the camera has not turned off yet. So I have grown in my understanding of how these cameras work. Because again, when I first started this podcast, my camera would die all the time. The OGs really remember. Okay, this one's a text message. It says, Dear Abby, I feel sick. I had a miscarriage early in the year, and ever since then, pregnancy announcements make me sick to my stomach. I currently am early in my own pregnancy again, and yet I can't help thinking about how should I be quickly approaching my due date. I can't help but feel behind and feel upset that it seems like everyone else gets what I want so badly. On top of that, I can't help but have so much anxiety about this pregnancy, and I'm constantly bombarded with thoughts about something bad that will happen to me, because of course it will. I feel like I have terrible luck, and being pregnant again feels like wearing my heart on my sleeve. I want to be happy, but instead I just feel terrified. How do I not let OCD and anxiety rob me of being content, living in the moment, and celebrating the good in life? P.S. Love you and the pod. Been a listener since the beginning. I'm the one who wrote the review that you read one time. Okay, well, thank you for trusting me again and for supporting my podcast. I want to address something that you said in the text and hopefully maybe help you think about it in a different way and maybe just be reminded of something. And you said, I feel like I have terrible luck, and being pregnant again feels like I'm wearing my heart on my sleeve. First things first, wearing your heart on your sleeve is one of the bravest things you can do. And I think it is so brave when you get your heart broken by something and then you try it again. And some might say, and maybe you have a negative voice in your head that's like, why would you do this again? Like, what's the point of trying? What's the point of doing this all over again? You're foolish. Maybe you have like a negative voice in your head that's telling you all of these things and kind of beating you down. But it's like one of the most courageous things that somebody can do. And it's one of the most brave things that somebody can do, is to wear their heart on their sleeve yet again after being heartbroken and after being crushed and hurt and confused. So you can have OCD and anxiety and that negativity yap in your ear, in your brain all day long. And as annoying as it can be and jarring, don't believe it. You can still choose to not believe what it's saying about maybe trying again and doing this all over again. Because you are brave, you are courageous, and your tender heart and your excitement is your superpower, and it really is that. So in case you need an external somebody to say that, there's your reminder. Let yourself grieve. I'm not sure what your grief looked like after your miscarriage, or how that was handled with people in your life, or with how you handled it with yourself, but just let yourself grieve and let yourself cry when you need to cry. If you're feeling emotional, then just find out what's a good place for you to release those emotions, and for those to be brought up without judgment, or like, but we already went through this, or, but now we have a baby, so now we can't be sad anymore. And like, just your womanly feelings will come up, and that is a good thing. And that is, again, your superpower. And so let those come up, and try your best not to judge those things when they come up. You logically probably know like how excited you are for this baby. You logically know that everything is okay. But sometimes it doesn't matter when you have feelings that haven't been dealt with yet, or felt yet, or listened to, or validated, or grieved. I'd say that's a really important piece, is to be curious about those feelings. And you are strong. You are capable of feeling all of that and still holding your own energy and lifting yourself back up. And you are very loved. You are very supported, I'm sure, by the people around you. And remember that, and don't push those people away. I think all pregnant women are like the most beautiful people in the world. Like they genuinely look so beautiful to me. And so when you look in the mirror, just make sure that you remind yourself out loud that you are beautiful, and that your body is doing a beautiful and amazing job. No matter what happens, it's a beautiful thing for you to do, and for you to sacrifice that your body, to commit yourself to this big sacrifice and to starting a family. And that's what you want, and that's what you're doing, and that's a really beautiful, brave thing. Because I think when we let ourselves feel beautiful as women, that translates into not just like the physical part, but it's like we're beautiful. Like you are beautiful, soul, mind, body, everything. And that can translate into just your mental health in general, because that sometimes is like the baseline. I'd say that's one way to not let it rob experiences from you, is to make sure you're being really present, compassionate with yourself, with all of your feelings, whether you think you should be feeling them or not. And then also being on top of how you speak to yourself in your mind and out loud, and how you carry yourself. Because that does translate to then what your brain's like rhetoric is. Thank you guys for always writing in and trusting me with your Dear Abby questions. If you want, but I do need more Dear Abby submissions. So if you have a question about anything, feel free to send it to me in a voicemail or a text, and I will get back to you on the next episode, or the next, depending how many I get. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Dear Abby. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and that you take yourselves out, have fun, be kind to yourself, and yeah, love you guys. Bye.
우회전 taking a ride to journey 눈치 보면서 들어가야 할 때 찾아 나머진 바빠 개설레임 바꾸는 사람